Now, here's meteorologist Pete Mangione with your live Pinpoint Doppler 12 Futurecast.
And this morning we have team coverage as we're tracking Bill. Stephen Schuler is live along the shoreline. He's sort of checked out conditions there.
Yep.
Still looking at some moderate sort of levels for the waves, but when do you think it's really going to kick up the surf?
It'll be this afternoon, this evening, and especially overnight.
Okay.
That's when the hurricane will be at its closest position. And you can see, not too bad right now as we take a look across the shore. We have very foggy conditions, and it will take a while for this fog to push out because the humidity is just so high. Dew points are really up there, and it's going to feel downright oppressive out there today with the stickiness and the humidity. All right, the eye of Hurricane Bill, or the center of the storm, will remain offshore as we go into tonight, but the track has shifted a little closer to us, a little closer to the west. I'll talk about the impacts of that in just a second. We will see some gusty winds for the Cape, but the waves and not the wind will be the big story from this hurricane. Closer to home on Live Pinpoint Doppler 12, we have rain-free conditions across most of Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts, but some stronger storms right now moving through central Connecticut. Now, the good news is most of these will continue to move off to the north and west, but it's possible that a few storms will clip us right here in Rhode Island with some briefly heavy downpours. So something to keep in mind if you're headed out this morning or this afternoon. Tropical storm warning in effect for the outer Cape as well as the waters off of the Cape, the Vineyard, and south of Block Island. So keep in mind this warning affects our water locations for the most part and not the land. Nonetheless, this is really the reason why, or this is really the main impact from that shift in track. Yesterday we saw maybe potential tropical storm force winds at these locations. Today it looks like those wind speeds will be likely. So that's the main impact from that shift in track. Other than that, we're still looking at some high surf for southern Rhode Island. In fact, a high surf advisory in effect starting now all the way through 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. And unless you're an experienced swimmer, you are advised not to go into the water for this weekend. All right, the latest on Hurricane Bill. Right now it is a Category 2 storm with winds at 105 miles an hour. It is currently tracking to the northwest at around 20 miles an hour. It will eventually bend up to the north and then over to the northeast, sweeping by southern New England by the time we get into tonight. In fact, here is that track in more detail. By 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, it is forecasted to be a Category 2 storm. So I think we'll see some strengthening today and then weakening by the time we get into tonight and tomorrow as the storm starts to enter some cooler waters. Now, right now, the forecast track has it situated about 170 miles offshore from Nantucket. Here's Nantucket. Here's the storm tomorrow morning. So we're still not looking at landfall, a landfall strike or anything like that, but we are going to see some very large waves. Offshore, right under the hurricane, we could see waves 30, 40 feet. Closer to home, we could see wave heights as high as 10 feet, maybe 15 feet. I will detail those wave heights coming up in just a minute. Here is our hour-by-hour Futurecast, starting it off now. Due to that stalled front just off to our west, we'll see the chance of some scattered thunderstorms throughout the day and this evening. Then as we go into tomorrow morning, here is the bullseye of precipitation from Hurricane Bill. Now, while the outer Cape may get clipped by some of this heavy rain, the rest of us will see just a few showers here and there, most of the rain staying out over the ocean. In terms of the winds, hurricane-force winds possible way offshore. In fact, hurricane-force winds will definitely occur way offshore. Tropical storm force winds possible across the outer Cape and across the waters just offshore from Nantucket and the Vineyard. Closer to Rhode Island, especially our southward facing beaches, we'll see very high waves, but the winds won't get all that strong, especially in comparison to what we're going to see out across the Cape. So we take a closer look at those wind speeds. Could see some wind speeds between 30 and 50 miles an hour out across the outer Cape. And again, much less with the wind speeds and intensities as we get closer to Rhode Island. I mentioned those wave heights. Here's how they break down. Between 8 and 12 feet possible for Rhode Island Sound, and we could see wave heights 10 to 20 feet just south of Nantucket. Now, the good news is in our more protected waters like Buzzards Bay, Cape Cod Bay, Vineyard Sound, Nantucket Sound, and often to Narragansett Bay, the waves will be much smaller. But you only have to get to the entrances of one of these bays to see those wave heights really get rather large. We're talking 6, 7, 8, 9 feet. Down City, Providence, we have the clouds, we have the uncomfortable air mass. 79 degrees is our temperature. Winds out of the south at 6 miles an hour, and we will be watching that line of storms just off to our west today. Most of the heavy rain and the storms will stay off into Connecticut and Massachusetts, but again, the possibility of some briefly heavy downpours exists here in Rhode Island. Other than that, a hazy mix of sun and clouds, temperatures in the low to mid-80s. Morning fog out on the water, wave height 6 to 7 feet at the entrance to Narragansett Bay, and we'll see a fair amount of fog and haze at the beaches. 7-day futurecast keeps in the chance of some scattered showers into Sunday, and Monday things really start to get better, maybe a shower or two, but much less humidity, back into the low 80s for Monday and Tuesday.
All right, Pete, thank you.
Yep.